Well, Emma and Michael, we've moved to about 136th Street and Dove Valley Road. This is where that what was a go status section of the evacuations was. It has now been, as you mentioned, downgraded to a set. We've seen some people filing back in, presumably to go back to their homes. But from our vantage point up here, we can't really see any smoke. We can't see any visible flames. There's a little bit of smoke going on in the distance, actually, if my photojournalist Jesus can zoom in on that. So that is kind of the extent of what we're seeing right now. But as you mentioned, this wildfire, an estimated 3,800 acres, still 0% contained, as tonight there are over 240 personnel that are assigned to fight this Boulder View fire. Now, the evacuations just an hour ago were downgraded in this area to a set status. That was from a go status. Now, there were other places that were at a set status. They have also been downgraded to a ready status. Now, all of these are right on the border of the Tonto National Forest in northeast Scottsdale. Now, in terms of the firefighting efforts today, we're told that crews on the ground have really been focusing on improving the fire lines and continuing to protect some of these homes and other structures that are being threatened. Access to Bartlett Lake is still closed, but here at 136th Street, road access has opened within the last little bit. Tiffany DeVilla with Forestry and Fire Management says crews feel like they do have a good handle on this fire right now, but are saying it's still at 0% contained until they are absolutely positive they have total control of the fire.
While you might not see active flame, you might not see smoke in the air, there is still fire activity on the ground. There's still a lot of heat remaining on some parts of the fire, especially in that southeast flank. So we want to make sure at the end of the day that it's safe for people to go back home and safe to put containment on the map.
Now, DeVilla says this fire has been determined to be human-caused, but exactly how it was started, that is still under investigation. And officials are expecting to have a briefing in the next hour or so, where we are expecting to get an update in the next few hours on a potential estimated acreage and if it has been contained at all. Now, I also did get a chance to speak with one of the owners at the Bartlett Lake Marina. Access to Bartlett Lake closed again. This is the third time in just about 5 weeks that Bartlett Lake and the marina has had to close due to some of these wildfires, and they seemingly have happened on some pretty busy weekends. The first one, the Wildcat, around Memorial Day, the Riverside on Father's Day, and then obviously we have 4th of July coming up next week. And the owner says that really these wildfires are having a bad impact, and he can't remember a year where there's been so many in such a little amount of time, seemingly all in the same place. We'll have much more from him and the latest on the firefighting efforts coming up tonight. But for now, reporting live in Scottsdale, Zach Perlutsky for Arizona's Family.
Hopefully they're able to contain that fire.